Hey everybody, how are you all doing today? This is going to be the story of how I got my dogs, Scout and Stella. And I just wanted to make this quick little intro to let you know that the lighting in the video isn't the best. But since it's a story time, it's more about what I'm saying rather than seeing me. So I hope you're okay with that. And you can still see the dogs pretty good. Grab your favorite hot or cold beverage, sit down and relax, and let me tell you the story. Cheers, everyone. Scout, come here. Come on, bud. Come on, buddy. Come here. So this is going to be the story of how I got Scout and Stella. You know, I had Dalmatians when I was growing up. The first one we had was Checkers. And then we had Spot. And I forget when Checkers passed away, but we had Spot after Checkers, and she passed away in 2011. And since 2011, we had been looking for a dog. We weren't sure what kind we wanted, but we always had a soft spot for Dalmatians. And one day, we started talking about it more as a family, and we were looking on Kijiji, which is like Craigslist in America. We have Craigslist here too, but we were on Kijiji for about a week, and we were searching for them, Dalmatians. We couldn't find any here in Manitoba or in Winnipeg. And some of them were so expensive and all over the country. That's not a surprise. They're beautiful dogs. I can understand why there's that cost. But on one day, I think it was a Saturday, towards the end of March last year, we found these two guys, and the owner was looking to rehome them. So I messaged them and told them that I was interested in these dogs, and I told them that I wouldn't want them to be separated. The ad did not indicate whether they needed to be taken together. When I saw them together, I said to myself, I have to have those dogs, and I have to have both of them. So after sending the message, we didn't hear back from the people right away. So I was kind of, not getting too excited about it. And the ad had about 700 views. So I thought my chances were slim at the time. I wasn't too sure if I had a chance even at getting these dogs. But I put together a little video showing the fellow where these dogs would be living, and I showed them, our cat who had also recently passed away, and our previous dog Spot. We didn't really have many pictures of Checkers, unfortunately. And long story short, the gentleman chose me to be the new owner of these dogs. These dogs were located in Edmonton. So after we sent the message on Saturday, and they did respond later and told us the good news, I think it was just a matter of days. I know that I left my house on Sunday afternoon from Springfield, Manitoba. As soon as we made arrangements with these people that I was coming to Edmonton to pick these dogs up, and the arrangements were finalized, I very quickly packed my bag and whatever things I could think that I need for this trip. I got in the car and I left. The first thing I did was stop for gas at the corner store. And then as I was leaving that store on Garvin Road, Highway 213, and the intersection of Highway 59 North, I was at a stoplight and I was the second car. As I approached the car, I looked at the license plate. And what did it say? RESQDOG. The license plate said rescue dog. Now, considering that I was going to Edmonton to pick up dogs that I had never, even a few days ago, dreamed of having, and to consider the timing that I would, in a rush, be leaving the house and happen to have gone and go get fuel, if I would have taken 30 seconds longer to pack my bags, if I would have been quicker to pack my bags or to pack the car, I wouldn't have ended up behind that vehicle with that license plate. So I think that's called, is it serendipity or synchronicity? Something like that. And I will mention, these are not rescue dogs by any means. These dogs were most certainly very well cared for. The previous owner just wasn't able to keep them in their lives for their personal reasons. So they were looking to rehome them, but they were not rescue dogs. I must stress that. I always said to people, maybe the dogs were rescuing me. To this day, that's something I will never forget, and almost, gives me goosebumps when I think about it. So that was the start of my journey. That right there told me that everything was going to be okay. And I'm not a superstitious person, or I don't believe in woo-woo or anything like that. But that something told me that you're doing the right thing and that everything was going to go very smoothly. And as I'm going to explain to you, it did go very smoothly. There were just a few minor, I wouldn't call them hiccups, but interesting parts along the way. And one of the reasons I wanted to do this talk and make this video was, when I get older in age, I'm already 40 years old, but when I get older in age, I might not remember the story as clear as I do today. And that was a year and a half ago, so I'm doing this all from memory here on the spot. Okay, so the route I took to Edmonton was on Highway 16, Yellowhead Trail. So as I have to go from Highway 59, I went around the perimeter of the city of Winnipeg. That's what the ring around the city, that's called the Perimeter Highway. And I began heading west. There wasn't too much interesting things happening along the way. I stopped in Neepawa as my first stop for fuel. That's a boring drive from Roblin to Yorkton. And it was getting dark. And at that time of year, it's still dark pretty early. So I got to Yorkton. I was impressed. I did a big city. I didn't expect it to be that big. They had lots of stuff. Didn't get to see too much, but, looked good to me. And then from Yorkton, I continued my journey and was going to be heading to Saskatoon for the evening. Everything went good there. I made a detour because it was dark and I couldn't see very well. I don't know if I had map on my phone or not, but I was kind of just trying to stay on Highway 16. I knew Highway 16 would take me there, but there's a little part where you have to turn. So I missed that turn and I ended up going to Humboldt. So that was about a 1 hour delay on my trip going to Saskatoon. But that ended up working out all right. And when I got to Saskatoon, it was 11 o'clock at night, and I had people at home looking for a hotel for me because I needed a place to stay. And boy, did they find me a good one. Oh, excuse me.
Oh, my permit.
I didn't obviously want to spend too much money on a hotel, so I ended up at the Travel Lodge or Thrift Lodge or something like that. I'll insert a clip picture or something. I didn't have the GoPro at the time either. I would have loved to have documented this trip more, but I made a couple of videos on my cell phone. You'll see them towards the end. So I end up at this hotel. It's sketchy to begin with, just as I approach, but it's still a place to rest your head, so I'm not going to complain. I go in there and there's a nice Brazilian fellow at the front desk, and I said, do you have anything available? He said, yes, we do, and I was able to check in, and during that conversation, the guy from Brazil at the front desk tells me he had Dalmatians growing up. So there's synchronicity number 2, or serendipity. Now, this hotel was maybe one of those hotels or motels where people kind of stay long term, but I could tell right away that I had to keep an eye out and all of the locks on the door, make sure they were locked. It was nice enough when I got into the room, had a shower, put on the TV, and I could hear all these noises going on outside, and it was late already on a Sunday night. From my estimation, I'm sure there was some sort of drug operation going on out of there. Maybe multiple drug operations. Prostitute ring, who knows? Let me tell you, I slept with my shoes on and my clothes on and one foot on the floor and one eye open. That was the kind of hotel it was. And I was on the second floor, and there's like a catwalk balcony that is a common area. So I could see out and see the parking lot below. And there was people, inspecting my vehicle. I said to the one girl that was looking in my window, I said, hey, $20 for you in the morning. You watch my vehicle, you make sure it's safe. Because, I had most of my stuff in there except for my backpack. It's not like I had anything too valuable, but, things for the trip. So I wake up early in the morning, 7 o'clock or whatever, and luckily for me, my car wasn't touched and everything was fine. So then I continued on my journey from Saskatoon to Edmonton. Of course, I have a breakfast at Tim Hortons, or I think I had beef jerky or pepperoni from a gas station. Then I went from Saskatoon all the way to the Battlefords. I think that's what the foreigners call that place. I think they either call it North Battleford or South Battleford, but all the signage that I saw was indicating the Battlefords. So I went there, had a Tim Hortons there, coffee, and I thought that was a cool city because I like, elevation changes and hills and stuff like that. That's when you kind of start getting into the more hilly country out west. So I was getting excited, and I was approaching meeting these guys, which was, you're always thinking like, am I getting scammed? Is the person going to change their mind and I'm going to drive all this way and have to turn around? And so, lots of things are going through my mind. Excitement. It was, all the things that go along with a unknown situation in a new place. So as I leave the Battlefords, my next stop would be Lloydminster. And in Lloydminster is quite a big town. So the drive from Battlefords to Lloydminster was very nice. Small mountains, I would call them. I wouldn't call them big mountains. Maybe they're not technically called foothills. That's what it would be, foothills. Very scenic. There was still snow, and it was very, very nice to see. So I approach Lloydminster, and the weather was pretty good, on this trip. I never had bad driving weather. But as I approached Lloydminster, the sun came out, and the previous owner gave me a call. Just touch base with me, see where I am. And I was planning to go to Edmonton from Lloydminster. But the gentleman called me and said, maybe traffic is busy in Edmonton. And he said, I'm going to meet you in a place called Vegreville. So I said, sure, that sounds great. And we had a very nice conversation, and at that point I knew it was a done deal. I'm getting these dogs, and it's real, it's happening. So then I get really excited, of course, as I'm from the trip from Lloydminster to Vegreville, and I'm already thinking about these new dogs and what they're going to be like and all that kind of stuff. And then I arrive in Vegreville, fuel up, and it turned cold, very cold. Bitter wind and big wind too, strong wind. I fueled up there, and I met the gentleman at the Superstore parking lot. Was lucky enough to meet these dogs for the first time. And it was really, really a special moment for me. I'll never forget that when I met these dogs and I saw them for the first time, and I could not believe how small they were. Yeah, so they were 7 months old at the time when I first got them. And the previous Dalmatians I had I got them when they were like 2 years old, I think. This is what my recollection is. And they were much bigger. And even to this day, these dogs, Scout, the boy, is a little bit bigger. Stella's very tiny. She's a little girl. She didn't grow too much. And, you know, we shook hands, and the fellow gave me everything he had. He gave me 2 kennels, 2 leashes, 2 feeding dishes, a food container, food, treats, blankets, toys, vaccination papers. So we did the switch off, and we put them in the car and started driving. And I wasn't sure what I was going to do. So I went back to Lloydminster, and for me, I wanted to be with these dogs. I didn't want to sit in the car with them, and I didn't want to just sit in the car and drive with them. I said, okay, I'm going to stop in Lloydminster for the day and get a hotel here. And again, the people at home suggested to me that I go to the Ivanhoe Motor Inn. And that was actually a lovely place. You know, it's a typical motel, and you got the old folks running it, and they had like their living room there and right at the reception. And it was a great place. This place was a lot better than where I stayed in Saskatoon, I'll tell you that much. Very clean, very, very nice. So we got into the hotel room, and this was like the first time that I get to properly interact with the dogs. So they just smothered me and smothered me and smothered me, and were licking me and kissing my face. And we all got along so well right away. So that was great news. And like, these are brother and sister, so they're inseparable and they're used to being together. So I gave them a little bit of food to eat, and I said, oh, I'm kind of hungry. I should have something as well. So we hopped back in the car, and I went to McDonald's and had a Big Mac, and I had to take them for a pee-pee and a poo-poo, and I found a nice school with a fenced-in playground, and it wasn't completely fenced in, but it was a place to walk so that they could do their business. And are you comfortable there, bud? Are you okay there? Yeah. Make yourself comfortable. Yeah, so they could do their business, and then I went back to the hotel and was taking a lot of pictures and sending them home to the family so that they could see, and taking, you know, movies and stuff like that. And then I had a shower, and I came out of the shower naked, and I guess they were, you know, they were surprised by me. I guess I looked different. So that was the only time they really barked on me. I guess just because I looked different. But, you know, they figured it out right away when I put on my clothes that I'm the same guy. And then this one, Stella, was kind of being weird, and she went into her kennel because I had the kennel. We were on the bed, but there was 2 beds, and they were on one, and I was there petting them, and she went into her kennel for some reason. I said, what's going on? And then I went to go see what she was doing, why she was in there, and she made a little small growl at me. And I said, what's wrong? So I went over to my bed, and I laid down, and I called them over, and she came right out and licked me and was super happy, and Scout was there too, and you know, they were cuddling with me and all that stuff, and that was when I learned a little bit about Stella for the first time. Scout is a sensitive boy too. He's actually, how do I say it? Like, they're both very sensitive dogs, but in different ways. So Stella really needs attention, and she loves to be with you, and she's my Velcro dog. Scout's my best friend, but she's my Velcro dog. He's, pretty much a Velcro dog too, but not to the degree that Stella is. And that's one thing I learned about her, is that she needs to be with me all the time and cuddle and everything like that. So that's good. I love that. I always wanted cuddling dogs. The previous 2 Dalmatians weren't cuddlers. So I love that they're cuddlers. So yeah, we stayed the night at the Ivanhoe. Again, everything went perfectly. They never pooed in that hotel room. They never peed in that hotel room. And then the next day I said, okay, I'm going to go drive a little bit more. My intention was to drive from Lloydminster all the way back to Winnipeg. But then I was driving back to Yorkton. I said, okay, I've had enough, because with the new dogs and all the emotions and everything like that, and, me not having dogs for a little while and then having to take care of them it's not complaining, but it was tiring and stuff like that. It's like having new kids, right? They were like little babies. So I said, you know what? I got to stop in Yorkton, Saskatchewan for the night. I went to one hotel. They didn't have any vacancy. And then I went to this other hotel. I will probably overlay a picture here, or I will put a video. And the name of the hotel, I don't remember. I'll put that in the picture and information. Maybe one of the best hotels I have ever stayed at in my life. By far, it was the biggest hotel room I've ever stayed in my life. It had a living room. It had a walk-in bathroom, and there was a sink outside and a closet. Desk, a chair and a couch and a massive bed. It was like an apartment. It must have been 750 square feet. It was massive. Best hotel I've ever stayed at in my life. Best service, everything. They allowed pets. Both hotels I stayed in allowed pets, which was good. But this time, Scout and Stella, they were pooing in that hotel room. Oh, were they pooing? I might have, maybe given them too much food, or they were nervous or worked up about the new, everything that was happening to them. So I got to that hotel earlier, which was nice. I think I got there like 2 p.m. So that gave me the opportunity to settle in and walk around and take them for a walk. I mean, we went for lots of walks around the area. I forgot to tell you another story. In Lloydminster, I went to go get them the water dish at a pet store. And as I'm leaving the pet store, what does the woman that's coming into the pet store say? Oh, I've got a Dalmatian too. So there's maybe more Dalmatian owners out there than I think. But getting back to Yorkton, Saskatchewan and the hotel. We ordered pizza that night. And we watched the Jets game. The Jets were playing the Oilers. I come from Winnipeg. That's where the Jets are from. These dogs came from Edmonton. And the 2 teams were playing on the night that I'm picking them up in that hotel. Wow. Again, just what a coincidence. At some point you say, I don't believe in coincidences. But these dogs, by the way, are now Jets fans. They used to be Oilers fans, but now they're Jets fans. So we had a lovely evening in the hotel. They were sleeping like babies. Again, other than the pooing and the peeing in the hotel room, they were fantastic. They've always been so well behaved. This hotel had a pool I didn't use, but there was a continental breakfast in the morning. So I enjoyed that. I went up and down there 3 times. And I was so nervous because of the mess. I said, oh boy. Like, the hotel room looked like Motley Crue had been there. It was almost to the point I thought the furniture was going to be glued to the ceiling type thing. They were roughhousing and doing their business all over the place. To my surprise, when I got home, they only charged me an extra $25 for that. Room cleaning. I was thinking it was going to be hundreds of dollars. No. So forever, that hotel, I will always remember the excellent service. So then it was time to come home. And we made the drive. I think I just stopped for gas or whatever. And stopped in Portage La Prairie to let the dogs walk around and go to the bathroom and do their business. Portage La Prairie, and I called home and said that I'm coming home. I'm really close because Portage La Prairie is only like an hour away or half an hour from Winnipeg. 45 minutes, maybe an hour. And so then I was coming home. I said, I'm on the final leg of the trip here. I think somewhere in Alberta, no, somewhere in Saskatchewan, piece of on the grill fell off of my car. That was the only bad thing that happened. I never had any car trouble. I've got a good vehicle, so it's reliable. I'm lucky with that. Just a very smooth trip. So from Portage La Prairie back to Winnipeg, and that was it. The rest is history. It was a fun time, and it was just like that. 2 days later, we had Dalmatians in this house.
Edmonton, and he's bringing them home. And we're very anxious to see them. Oh, they're beautiful. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. He's got to get their harnesses hooked up and, yeah.
Are they tall, yeah? Holy smokes.
Beautiful. Aren't they beauties?
Yeah,
That's the female with the patch on her eye.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you can see it in this picture the way I'm doing it. Oh, well. I guess we'll get lots of pictures of them. There you go. Oh, they're gorgeous. Oh, they're so little.
That's the story of how I got Scout and Stella. Thank you for tuning in.